All Tempestus Scions are trained in aerial grav-drop tactics. However, the hand-picked Tempestus Aquilons deploy exclusively by this method. They are recruited from those who consistently display an aptitude for self-sufficiency, improvisation, and intuitive tactical understanding. Hello there and welcome to this paint guide. In this video, I'll be giving you some handy tips and techniques that you may find useful if you're painting up your very own Tempestus Aquilon kill team. Let's get started. Here's a list of all the paints we'll be using. With that said, these are just our suggestions, so feel free to change them up to fit your colour scheme. We're covering a couple of different things in this video, so depending on which part of the tutorial you're following, you might not need them all. And here's also a list of the additional equipment that we've used. Same again here, use whatever is comfortable for you. If you're new to painting or want to brush up on your skills, check out our Painting Essentials playlist for more info on how to paint. To start us off, I'm going to show you a couple of different ways you can go about painting the eyes, scopes and other details like the wrist consoles across your Aquilon kill team. I'll show you a standard way of doing them, and then a super quick one as well. For this example, I'm using this Aquilon Marksman equipped with a long las, as he's got loads of really cool areas for us to pick out. I've used Chaos Black spray for the undercoat, but any undercoat will work just fine. So first up, I'm going to base coat all the areas I'll be working on using Caliban Green. So that's the eyes, scope, these extra lenses and the wrist console. Obviously, if you're adding these to your fully painted models, you'll just have to be extra careful not to get any of this onto your other colours. I'll be applying this in 2 thin layers for a nice smooth finish. With that done, we're now going to shade all those areas using Nuln Oil. Now this usually would take quite a while to dry being a shade paint, but because all the details we're painting are quite small, it shouldn't take too long. Leave it for about 20 minutes or so to fully dry, and then we can move on. Now we can start really bringing those eyes and lenses together. Using Warpstone Glow, I'll just fill in the centre of each eye. We want the green to get brighter as it nears the centre, so we'll apply this in the middle, large enough so that another brighter green can be painted in the centre after this. For the lenses and wrist console, we'll do something a little different. With these, we want to create a sort of reflection effect to imply that they're glass or screens. So instead of adding it to the middle as if it's emitting light, we're going to instead only add it to the bottom left corner of each lens. We can go quite high up with this, as we need to provide enough space for the next green to go right into the bottom corner without totally covering up this colour. If you want a more detailed explanation on how to paint lenses, we've got a great video all about it for you to check out. For both the eyes and lenses, apply this in 2 thin layers. Up next, we're going to do pretty much the same thing that we just did, but this time a little bit more finite. So for the eyes, just apply this in the very centre. And for the lenses and the wrist console, the very bottom corner and edge. It should overlap the previously added Warpstone Glow here, but not completely cover it. We still want to see it towards the centre, creating a colour transition. Applying this in 2 thin layers like usual will help you control this gradient. At this point, you could add some grid lines like we see on the models on the box art, and to do that, it's as simple as painting them on. With that said, it is quite tricky, so remember these lines aren't necessary at all, and you'll see that the wrist console looks totally fine without them. With that step complete, both the eyes and lenses are looking awesome, but there's still some finishing touches to add. For the lenses, we can add a small dot of white scar into the opposite corner to the moot green. This will really sell the reflection effect. You might find it helpful to hold your breath while you do this. I personally find that it really helps me to be delicate on small intricate details like this. It's also helpful to roll your brush on your palette first if your brush is losing its point. Alternatively to a white dot, you can go ahead and add some Ard Coat, which I'll be doing for the eye lenses instead. This works great and will make them look really shiny. So if that's what you're going for, you're all set. You could even add both the white dot and Ard Coat if you wanted to, like what I've done for the wrist console. Now it looks like a really cool display screen. If you've not got time for painting this way, don't worry, I'm going to show you a method with contrast paint that works great for this kind of thing. Base coat all your lenses, eyes and consoles with a white paint of your choice. I'm using Corax White. And then add your contrast paint. Striking Scorpion Green works perfectly for the eyes and looks just like the box art. And for the smaller red console pieces, Blood Angel's Red looks great. And there we are, that's just a few ways you can go about tackling the consoles, eyes and lenses in your Aquilon kill team. But what about the special weapons? The Aquilons have access to some really cool special weapons. My personal favourite has to be the Melter and Plasma Carbine. That wooden stock is just fantastic. I thought it'd be really fun if we went through how to paint the Melter Carbine, but of course the same paints can be used for the Plasma Carbine too. You'll just have to add the Plasma Glow. I'll start by adding all the base coats. If you've painted any guns before, these first few steps will probably be quite familiar to you. 2 thin layers of Abaddon Black for the gun casing, and then Lead Belcher for the extra details like the handle and the magazine. After that, we'll add a more specific one to the Melter. Melter weapons often have a bronze barrel, so to replicate the box art, we'll be using Rune Lord Brass for this part. Now we can base coat that awesome wooden stock. For this, I'll be using Steel Legion Drab, but feel free to use a darker or lighter brown depending on what tone you're after. 2 thin layers as usual. And there we go, that's all our base coats down. Now we can add some shade paints. For the first shade, we'll be aiming to make the gun barrel darker and more defined. To achieve this, I'll be using Reikland Flesh Shade straight from the pot. Try your best not to get any of this onto the rest of the gun, but don't worry too much if you do, it's super easy to go back and reapply any base coats at this stage. Once that's dry, we can shade the rest of the Melter Carbine using Agrax Earthshade. Once again, straight from the pot. Awesome, our Melter Carbine is now battle ready and looks great. But seeing as it's only small, we might as well add some highlights, right? Dawnstone for the gun casing, Stormhose Silver for all the metallic parts, and Ushabti Bone for the stock. If you're feeling up to it, you can try adding small lines to create the impression of a textured wood effect. Check the box art for help if you need some inspiration. And blammo, the Melter Carbine has been highlighted up and looks even more awesome. If you're painting up your very own Aquilon kill team, hopefully you found these few extra tips useful. I've certainly got the kill team bug and I'm super excited to get started playing the new edition. Don't forget, if you're looking for more tutorials, tips and tricks, you can check out some of the other videos on the Warhammer YouTube channel, or you can go to a Warhammer store where our amazing staff are always happy to help. Thanks for watching, see you next time, bye bye!